Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to my channel, Wisconsin Hugs. My name is Tony Grillo. I'm gonna try to make this a quick video. Talk about Dylan Mulvaney. Just bring him up real quick. My girlfriend had a birthday party. So we had a great time with the family and everything. And I happened to bring up the fact that we weren't drinking Bud Light, but we do live in Wisconsin. Most people in Wisconsin they drink Miller. Her family is Latino, so they like their Corona, and so we wound up drinking Coronas. And so, anyways, uh, uh, I'm losing my train of thought here. uh, but yeah, you know, I was, looking at Facebook, and I've gotten into a few Facebook fights. I even made a video about, talking about Dylan with some of my Facebook friends. Like a lot of my, some of my friends, they like one person put up a picture of Corporal Klinger from MASH, and he was a guy that he was trying to get a Section 8. That's why he was wearing the dresses, and he wasn't pretending that, he wanted everybody to think he actually was a woman, He even went to the men's bathrooms, because I remember one episode he walked out of a latrine, and some general was walking in and took a double look like, what was that just came out of there, and that was kind of a little joke there. But Klinger never claimed he was a woman, and so people were like, yeah, what's the big deal? They posted a picture, with Klinger. There was another one too where it's kind of the same thing, where they had Prince and David Bowie dressed up like in women's clothes, and then Annie Lennox and somebody else looked, I can't remember who. Oh yeah, it was that black actress that starred in the movie, one of the Bond movies. Grace, what's her name? Grace. I can't remember her name. But anyways, she I think she had that big, head of hair, and is it Grace Slick or Slick Grace or something? I can't remember her name. It was so long ago, man. But I can remember her in the James Bond movie, But she, and they were trying to, what's the big deal, Well, again, none of them were trying to say they were the other side. I mean, Prince and David Bowie never claimed they were women. They never did. Same with Annie Lennox and the Grace lady too. Never claimed they were guys. So I just wrote nice try, because that's all. It is so interesting how people will try to argue their points, but the way they do it is they make points that aren't grounded in logic. There's fallacies in their premises, so therefore their conclusion is illogical. I mean, you can't make the statement that Prince dressed up as a woman, and everybody was okay with that, and then say that's Dylan Mulvaney. No, that's two different things. They're not related. Because Prince never claimed he was a woman. He never did. So, and here's another thing too, is I've brought up, this is another thing, that the left is very selective in how they when they say something is, that I'm overreacting, they just will just out flat out like deny that it's even anything that I say. They'll just say it's wrong, or that's how they, like they'll just say, you're totally spreading false rumors, and that's not true at all. I wouldn't sit there and waste my time debating these people by spreading lies. I just am not going to do that. I had one person, I was talking about the children debate, and this is something that Dylan Mulvaney has done. And I made a video on this showing this, and he's all over YouTube, so you could see it for yourself. But he sat down with the president and he asked the president, if he supported, drugs and sex changing operations, giving like puberty blockers, drugs, does he support that, for everyone? And the president said, yeah, for everyone. They didn't put an age limit there. And then later, the press secretary was asked the question, well, what is the age limit? What does the age limit president considers, the minimum age for a person to get these drugs and sex changing operations? And press secretary said, well, that's not for lawmakers to decide. That's, for the child and their parent. Well, I don't buy that argument, because we have laws out there protecting children, we have statutory rape laws, we have minimum drinking laws, we have minimum driving age laws, so it's what good people do. It's what, they do pass laws, in the hopes of protecting children. And here's the other thing too, and somebody, I got into a Facebook debate with somebody who, said, it wasn't our business, and I said, okay. I said, how about you? Do you think, children should be allowed to do whatever they want to do, and would you, being a parent, would you let your children do that? And then he asked, well, what's the minimum age? He asked me that. And I said, okay, well, let's be fair. Okay. Maybe your kid came up to you and said, they were suffering from gender dysphoria, and they wanted sex changing drugs and a sex changing operation. What age would you let your child decide they wanted to do that? What's the minimum age, and he was honest about it. He just said, I don't have an answer for that. That was his answer. And so, again, he's like, well, that's between the parent and the kid. Well, see, I don't buy that, because there's too many kids out there that actually went through that stuff, and now they realize they made a horrible, terrible mistake. And I wouldn't allow that to be done on my children. I would not have ever allowed that, because it's complete lunacy, period. And most people that I know, most everybody, most sane people would never allow that to happen to their children. I mean, once you're an adult, you're free to do whatever you want to do. Dylan, he can go do whatever he wants to do. The only problem I have with Dylan is he's a spokesperson that sat in front of the president and asked that question, and he's part of a movement, and now for Bud Light to sponsor that. Hey, Bud Light, you guys know, I mean, it don't take much to go on TikTok or go on YouTube and do some research and check on these people, I mean, you put a more polarizing person on the can than even President Trump, and in fact, there's a Mexican beer company out there actually does have Trump on their bottle, and they do very well. on beer sales. So, you know, you put a very polarizing person on your bottle. I think Dylan Mulvaney is more polarizing than Donald Trump, and I'll argue that any day. But I thought I'd take a couple videos and look at some comments that were made. You know, not so much the videos themselves. I think the comments are more interesting than the actual video. And I want to just bring up a few points about this. And I'm not alone in the way I feel. And you know, here's the thing, people. If that bothers you, it's time to speak out. Now's the time. It's time to make your voice heard, because as far as I know, I've run the statistics. They're saying it's like less than 1% of the population is actually LGBTQ, and so the fact that these companies are throwing this, you know, in the faces, you know, of the rest of us. You know, hey, it's okay if a guy wants to run around and wear a dress, and he wants to have drugs and sex changing operations. As an adult, he's an adult. He could do whatever he wants. Wants to call himself a woman, that's fine. Just don't expect me to call you a woman when I know you're not a woman. You know, you have the freedom to call yourself whatever you want, just like you do. You know, I have the freedom to call you whatever I want. You know, and you know, that's where we're at. You know, but you know, it's based. I like to live in a world of reality. That's where there's only two sexes, a man and a woman. That's it. And there is no spectrum, you know, of range of sexes. That would be like saying there's a spectrum of legs on a person. There is no spectrum, you know. If you were a first responder and some guy said, hey, I'm suffering from birthing pains, and you know that the person is a man, and he's telling you that, you're not going to go along with that assessment. You're probably going to say, you know, I don't think it's birthing pains, because men can't have babies. It's got to be something else. So that's kind of where I feel on that. And now's the time to speak out. And maybe the best part of right now is you don't buy Bud Light. You don't buy Bud Light beer, you know, and that seems to be what's going on across the nation. Is that nobody's buying Bud Light, and Bud Light's actually kind of the joke right now of the country. I was at a gas station, and there was a guy with he had this big, I don't know what he was. I'm not a big beer drinker, but when I do, I usually like the bottled beer. But he had a big case of Coors, you know. And we were kind of joking around. I said, well, yeah, I see it's not Bud Light. And he goes, you know, he's like, I'll never, you know. And he was laughing right back. He knew exactly what I was talking about, you know. And that's kind of, and you know, this is how, you know, word's going to get out. You know, we don't hate, we're not hating anyone, but at the same time, we don't like how this movement is going after kids, and that's so now we're making our voices heard. And I know there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, that's not being done. Well, yeah it is. And I'm going to show some video here where there's actually a trans person that backs up what I said, and I'll play a little bit of her talking, and then I'm also going to take a look at a video, not a video, but the comments of another gentleman that tried to do a video about what's going on with the Dylan and Bud Light, and he's a doctor of psychology, and he makes some observations, and it was interesting seeing him get railed on his, because this guy's pretty smart, you know, he's very smart, but even he got some backlash, and so it was interesting some of the comments that he got, and so hopefully I'll hit those as well. All right, everybody. So this is a channel on YouTube. I actually do listen to it. It's called The Offensive Tranny, and this young lady has some interesting things to say about her world. So let's just hear what she says, her opinion.
I'll never, ever see Dylan Mulvaney as a woman or a trans woman, nor would I act like I respect him. I don't. I do not respect activists like him who advocate for children transitioning. He was advocating for children transitioning, justifying it in front of Joe Biden, the President of the United States. I cannot, and I will never respect that.
The parent company of Bud Light have dropped by around 4% in recent days and went down again today. The approximately $5 billion value loss is believed to be the result of declining sales after a controversial ad campaign. Beer Business Daily reported significant drop.
Well, this is a fellow here that I really enjoy on YouTube. He's a doctor of psychology, and he's got great stuff. His name is Dr. Todd Grande, and he decided to do a video about Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light, and I tell you what, why don't I just read the review? I'm not going to play his video. You can go on there and watch the video yourself. But man, did it garner the comments. Wow, so many people commented on his video. And I guess I'll just read my review, what I thought, and we'll go through. Finding common ground is good advice. However, Dr. Todd, you didn't mention anything about a movement that is affecting children in large numbers and men like Dylan Mulvaney, who has publicly said he supports and advocates for harmful hormone-changing drugs and body part mutilations being made available to kids at no minimum age, which is absolute lunacy. I know if you were a parent, you wouldn't allow that to be done to your kids. I guarantee you he would not allow that. You either missed it or deliberately didn't include any of this in your video. You also made no mention of gender dysphoria as being similar to anorexia. You don't affirm someone that thinks they are fat. It's the same with gender. Both are mental illnesses, and by calling Dylan a woman means you are pushing the delusion. Yeah, you're supporting the delusion. You also mentioned both sides use hard science to support their argument, but you failed to get into it. You failed to define what is a woman. And hard science says there is no way men can experience birthing pains. By omitting all of this, you deliberately made the argument from the right weaker. Maybe you are afraid of being labeled a hater. Dr. Phil will play referee when he does shows on this topic. He brings outside people to argue these kind of cases so he doesn't have to be labeled a hater by stating his honest opinions. And Bud has lost almost $5 billion in total share cap value, so the boycott has been successful. You know, the right doesn't want this pushed onto kids, and you fail to mention any of that. This is why we are boycotting Bud Light. It's part of the reason. It's not the whole reason. I think a lot of people are just sick of woke being pushed onto them, you know. And you know, they just want to drink a beer. They don't want to, you know, they don't care about the politics. They want politics out of their beer. This was a fluff analysis which really surprised me because you are normally very thorough. I feel like you are playing referee without calling any penalties. But I do love your channel anyway. So I thought I'd read some of the comments here. Your first mistake is that he is a male. A real doctor would know that. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. This person, Prophet Ibert, said, trans activism is an epitome of an entitled minority aggressively demanding that other people accommodate them unfairly. Pandering to them is like siding with a kid who throws a temper tantrum to get what they want. These companies need to be punished no matter how big and arrogant they are. Yeah. Dylan wears girlhood like it's some sort of cosplay. It's making a mockery of women. Why are we normalizing men taking over women's spaces? Yeah, that got 73 likes. He's a guy. Call him a guy. Yeah. It seems to me that the radical right in the U.S. has been fighting against science for years. I think you are showing your bias here, my good doctor. You may want to stay away from political topics, as lately you've been giving away your objectivity. And I did reply to that. I actually wrote, yeah, LOL. As a right-winger, I was also disappointed in with him admitting certain arguments that make our beliefs weaker. You know, exactly. So it's like both sides weren't happy. So looking at some more comments here. This was like this video. I don't know how many comments it got. A lot of comments. I mean, we're talking about like 5,000-6,000, I believe, something like that. He just made this video, what, like, I don't know, 6 days ago or something like that, 5-6 days ago. So yeah, got a lot of views, but even more comments. He doesn't just identify as a woman, he identifies as a little girl. It's beyond sick and perverted. Yet anybody who doesn't celebrate it is whatever phobic and or whateverist because of reasons. So yeah. I have no problem with people being anyone that they choose, more power to them, but this Dylan made statements about menstruation cramps, yeah, I can't pronounce the word, and using tampons, which he as a man has and can never do. He talks about women maturing. He did not go through this. This is what women have an issue with. Playing like he has gone through these experiences. This is impossible. As a woman, I could go through surgery, become a man, but I could never know what it was like growing up as a man. This is what people are taking issues with, you know. Ulta used him and it backfired big time. Nike is now having him show sports bras. No way. A better role model is a man that has had the surgery and is not talking about the female experience and growing up as a woman. I got a kick out of this one comment right here. I find it very concerning that the highest levels of our government and corporations have been occupied by lunatics. Dylan Mulvaney's brand of transgenderism is psychopathic and evil. There's no two ways about it. A man isn't a woman. Yeah. You should probably not use, let's see what this person says. You should probably not use the phrase transgender ideology to describe trans communities and people who support trans individuals. Transness and gender nonconformity are no more an ideology than being a cisgendered person. It's just a physical character trait. Said a lot of big words there, but you know, cisgender means that you are the gender, you identify as the gender that you're born as. So yeah, you're throwing a lot of stuff in there, like transness and gender nonconformity. Basically, we are what we're born as, and you have to learn to love yourself for who you are. That's kind of what it comes down to. This person here says, I don't see what the problem is. Bud Light still featured an ad with a male person. A trans woman is a man. Still got the junk. Still is a male. Just deluded enough to believe that if he calls himself a female, then that counts. Yeah. Basically, you put a deluded person on your can. Yeah. A person who's pushing this stuff to have these kind of drugs and operations onto kids. Yeah, that's a problem. Now, this person here said some people are so ignorant. Not that long ago, they were telling parents kids with autism and ADHD, I think ADH, just needed a good ass whipping. Well, you know, here's the thing. It's totally unrelated topics. It really is. I don't know how you can, you know, say somebody suffering from gender dysphoria is the same as a person who has autism or ADHD. They're not the same. So you're you have no point, basically. This is somebody else who obviously knows nothing about sports and is trying to argue a point making no sense whatsoever. This Scar Casket said, I think that separating athletes that are same height and weight into different sizes based on biology is demeaning to female athletes. I feel that an athlete trained the same, follows the same rules, have the same proportion, no matter what biological sex they are, they would be equal. Women have the same abilities as men. No, they don't. Sorry, but they don't. That is the problem. We have been born into a culture that separates us, one being inferior of the other, and feel that is not true. You know, John McEnroe got into a lot of trouble when he was asked about, the top, at that time, the top tennis player in the world, being one of the, was it Serena Williams at that time? And he said, if she was playing in the men's group, she would probably be ranked around 200 if she was to take on the men. And he took a lot of heat from that, and he didn't back down on his analogy at all. He still stood firm, like he would not apologize, and he wasn't going to take back what he said. And I hate to tell you this, but I think he's right. I mean, the guy won Wimbledon how many times? He was the number one man's player in the world, at one time, and he knows the sport better than anyone. So, even Serena wouldn't. She just said that he'd probably be better off not, commenting on her sport or her. But I think even she knows, that he was right. This is kind of an interesting comment. This David Kafka, he says, I was permanently banned from a dating site because I dared to ask if someone was pre or post-op. I phrased the question as delicately as I knew how, but it still was not enough. I thought I was giving the benefit of the doubt and being open-minded. Now I do my best to avoid anything or anyone associated with that community. No hate. I just don't want to get banned by our trigger-happy corporate overlords. And, it was interesting because even listening to the offensive tranny, she had made the comment that she thought it was just, Bud Light patting themselves on the back for, being open-minded, and being inclusive, and that's all it was about, and they didn't care whatever message Dylan's out there spreading, whether he wants to run around as a little 6-year-old girl like he has in some of his videos, or whether he is acting like a cartoon of a girl, like running in the woods in high heels and tripping over his feet and scared of bugs. I mean, these are the kind of things Dylan has done. I put it in my other video. So, this person kind of sums it up pretty good with the beer drinkers. I, for one, do not care how anyone else identifies, male, female, or other. Yeah, does not matter to me. Live and let live, but don't try to rub my nose in anyone else's choices. Yeah, that's a lot of what it's all about. This person, Noah Namey, why are we butchering the English language for a handful of malcontents? No one is stopping them from doing whatever the heck they want. Yeah, no one's stopping them, but they don't get to demand of the rest of us that we participate in their delusions. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Imagine a world where transgender haters had their way. No businesses would ever market their products using a gender person ever again. The desire to erase transgender people. Talk about cancel culture at its most despicable level. That's not. See, this is a person who is totally misrepresenting what we're trying to say here. Nobody's saying, we want to that we hate transgenders. No one is saying that we want to erase all transgender people. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. But yet this is what this person puts out there. And that's how they call us haters. No, we didn't say that at all. We just don't like the message Dylan Mulvaney is spreading. We don't like the fact that you have men who think they are women playing in sports, in women's sports. We don't like the fact that guys that identify as women go into the women's bathrooms. We don't like the fact that there's transgender men in women's prisons and they're raping women prisoners. We think that's wrong. I mean, that's not being hateful. We think that, sex changing operations on children is complete lunacy. These are all the types of things that Dylan Mulvaney and he is. He's a spokesperson. He's the face of their movement. And what's even funny is that trans people, like the offensive tranny, they don't even like Dylan Mulvaney, and they disagree with Dylan, and they don't want to see the stuff done to kids either. And they've spent a long time, part of their lives, trying to get accepted, and now Dylan just reversed. He just reversed the whole movement for them, by spreading a message that they don't agree with. And now, now it's set their movement back, and they're mad at him. They don't think he speaks for them at all. It's amazing that there are so many women out there. I don't know if some of these people just don't see the message, or they're just going to defend Dylan no matter what. Maybe it's their motherly instinct, I don't know, or their womanly instincts, I don't know. But they obviously have not followed his complete message. Because even when I was out there arguing with some women, they were like, "You're spreading lies. You're spreading lies." No, I'm not spreading lies. I don't lie about stuff like this. I don't hate Dylan Mulvaney. I just don't like the message he's putting out there. I don't like what he stands for. So this person wrote, transgender is not really an ideology, a self-expression of a person's sexual identity. Well, if it's not an ideology, why are all these kids so damn confused about their gender? When 30 years ago, that was almost non-existent. Yeah, I would say there is an ideology that's being pushed out there. I would totally argue that. Is gay an ideology? Lesbian? No, they're not. The term transgender ideology is often used by religious groups. Now she's pushing it onto religious groups. It's our fault, the religious groups. Saying that cross-dressing is okay, but transgender is not, would probably be incorrect for the religious people. Yeah. Okay, there used to be a time out there where psychology said that gender dysphoria was a mental illness, but now they don't say that anymore. I mean, like I made the comment before, would you, affirm an anorexic person's belief that they're fat? No, you wouldn't. So would you affirm that somebody who thinks they're a boy when they're a girl, you tell them they're a boy? No, you wouldn't. They're both mental illnesses. And I don't have to be a religious person to tell you that, Psychologists actually used to think that way, but they don't anymore because they're afraid. But now with everything that's going on with Bud Light, now people are starting to speak out on it, and here's the thing, you demanded to be noticed. Well, you're getting noticed, no doubt about it. You're getting noticed now, and now if you don't like what people are saying, now we're called haters. See, that's wrong, because when you label somebody like that, instead of debating them on the points, making points on debate, then you're just name calling, then I can't sit there and debate somebody that calls me a hater. I can't do that. What? No, I'm not a hater. Yes, you are a hater. No, I'm not. I mean, that's 6-year-old crap, All right, let's see what they had to say. It's common in the animal kingdom to reject members who are different from the majority, sometimes killing them. Yeah, okay, so now she equates humans as animals, which I will totally disagree with. But while humans are animals, we have evolved brains, which allow compassion, as do other animals. So yeah, of course animals have compassion, I've seen, elephants mourn the loss of their babies, that couldn't make it across the river, that drowned it in the river and couldn't make it across. I've seen, other animals mourn, the loss of a parent. So yeah, they do. I saw one video where a bear was like crying for help, like actually went to humans in the woods and was crying like, follow me, my bear cub needs help. And these people followed the bear, and sure enough, they were able to rescue the cub. I mean, I've seen lots of videos like that. And that bear mama was so happy, that she got the help, that her bear cub was lived. So here we go. Let's see. The analogy of couples counseling between those who hate and those who accept or love transgender individuals is a poor one. Okay. Yeah, he did make this comment. Counseling. Actually, what he was trying to do is he was just trying to say, we should all try to come together, and that was what he was trying to say. Like a compromise between slave owners and abolitionists. There is only one moral choice: freedom. So what this person is saying is that if we don't accept transgender people, we are evil. That's what this person's saying right there. That's what she's saying right there. Okay? She's saying if we don't accept it, we are evil. On another note, even the conservative Supreme Court's decision was to allow transgender athletes to compete. Yeah, I have no problems with transgender athletes competing. But if you're a biological male, you have to compete with other biological males. You don't compete with women if you're a biological male. That's what we're saying. We're not trying to outlaw transgender people from competing. But see, you got all these women pro soccer players and all these women out there, and they're totally misrepresenting what these laws are that are trying to be passed. They're actually trying to protect women's rights by not allowing men to compete in their sports. And we're not trying to stop anyone that is transgender from competing in a sport. But see, that's how they argue. They make their points. They argue wrong stuff. And then they make their points that way, thinking that they have the high ground and that they're right. Okay. Doctor, you may think you explain your viewpoint. I think you showed your bias. It was interesting that this person felt that way, because I felt the total opposite, way. I felt that he didn't include enough, that he didn't do enough analysis, and that he didn't explain, enough of the points that people on my side we're trying to make and why we don't support Dylan Mulvaney. So seems like a lot of people on both sides were unhappy with his video, and it did garner a lot of response. Let's see. One can of beer, one promotion caused this extreme reaction. Seems a little pathetic. No. You know, there's a reason why the reaction is the way it is. It's because people are tired of it being thrown in their faces. That's basically what it comes down to. They're tired of the message that Dylan Mulvaney puts out there. Okay. Here's a person right here. I don't think that this individual is a genuine transgender person. They're an actor and they're playing a part. Yeah. I actually begrudgingly admire Dylan Mulvaney. He's a smart fellow. He worked out that he could use and take advantage of an agenda, and he's made an absolute fortune doing it. Dylan Mulvaney is about as genuinely trans as my Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Yeah. You know, and I think that's a good way to end this video, because it is starting to get long. But, you know, whatever side of the debate you're on, you know, be open and honest in your debate. Don't be a hater, and don't say false stuff, you know. Just, you know, yeah, I said, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and one person argued with me and said, you know, no, your opinion is not okay to have if you're spreading lies and false misinformation. The problem is everything that I said in my argument was true, and I even made a YouTube video about it, going through all the points of everything that I said and showing videos arguing, you know. So you're calling me a liar, but you haven't you didn't go through any of my stuff that saying what it was that I lied about. You just called me a liar, you know. Well, then that's kind of where, you know, people on my side, you know, we just kind of shake our heads and just say, you know, I don't know if there is any coming together between our two different sides. You know, I don't think there is. You know, there will be any coming together on this topic. You know, and that's where we're at right now, and maybe that's why there's such a divide on this topic, and why it elicits such a strong reaction. And for one side to say that it's, you know, that we're overreacting, I you know, I totally disagree with you. And you know, our side, you know, is finally being heard, because we've been ignored for a long time. You know, we are actually the majority of this nation, feels the way I feel, and now we're finally being heard. And we're not trying to cancel anybody, and we're not against transgender people. We just don't like what the message that Dylan puts out there. We don't like his ideology, if you want to say. And yeah, I guess there is no coming together, you know. And so that's about all I got to say right now.
Of Nike's political donations went to Democrats. In 2020, it was nearly 90%. So this is a left-wing company run by left-wing people and catering to a customer base that does not primarily consist of working-class, conservative, middle-aged white men like Bud Light. Okay, it's not plumbers from Idaho or truck drivers from Wisconsin who are going out to buy $200 Nike shoes. So it's not going to be very effective to organize a boycott against a company that doesn't care what we think and doesn't need our business. How is that supposed to work exactly? So all these conservatives, and it's not just those in the establishment and high-ranking Republicans and so on. I've seen this on Twitter and on social media.
Well, Matt Walsh, I just want to thank you for including truck drivers from Wisconsin in your monologue. Yeah, you're right. We don't buy $200 Nikes. I do have a pair of running shoes, but I would never spend $200 on my running shoes. And I used to run marathons, and I did wear Nikes, but if I start training again and start doing marathons again, I'll find another shoe to wear. But it was kind of nice hearing you mention truck drivers from Wisconsin. Thank you. I'm out of here. Wisconsin hugs.